Hey everybody. So I want to talk about these three books, the original Dragonlance Chronicles series, and in particular, um, start with these two. So there's when I bought those two, they were the only two on the market. Dragons of Autumn Twilight and Dragons of Winter Night were the only two out. And when I was a teenager, my dad, it's one of those weekends where dad dropped you off at the mall, and you had, $20 or something, and you were having a great day. But I didn't really feel like playing arcades for some reason, or video games for some reason over at the arcade. I didn't really care about the food court that much. I went to B. Dalton's. I bought a couple books. Those were the two, and they were the only ones out. So I had to wait an indeterminable, like 2 months, for the third one to come out. It was torture. The thing that sticks out about these books in my head is as a however old I was, teenager, pre-driver's license. It was the first time when I read one. My dad, after he picked me up, saw me reading it kind of continuously for like the next day and a half until I finished it. And then dad came up to me when I was reading the second one and goes, "Hey, can I borrow that book you're reading? I want to check it out." I was like, "Holy crap! Dad never asked to borrow a book from me. What the heck's going on around here, right?" So I loaned it to dad. Dad comes up to me afterwards and goes, "Hey, is there another one of these?" I was like, "Sure, great. Here, boom, there you go." Right. It was the first time dad and I kind of bonded over a book that he wasn't forcing me to read. It was sort of optional for both of us. Now, I know as a dad, my dad might have just been reaching out to try to read a book I read, but he really did read like the first 10 of them before he passed away. Um, and well, he passed away 2 years later, but he read the first 10 of them before he got bored. He and moved on to something else. So no, my dad was a sci-fi fan. He wasn't a fantasy guy, so take that for what it's worth. But these three books really kind of introduce you to a lot of things. And one of the things I found very interesting about them is it kind of shows you they go. It doesn't really go to great lengths to tell you this, but it kind of gives you the idea that people coming together to solve a problem. It doesn't matter if you're friends or family. Friends can be like family. Those you can have that kind of a close bond with people. The story is so well character driven that you really do kind of start to feel things for the characters in there. Everybody likes wrestling, even though the dude winds up wearing black robes at the end of it, right? So he's evil in a way. He wants to challenge a god to become one himself. The dude's nuts. There's a Kender that gets a lot of hate. This little Kender guy in the background. Like nobody seems to like this guy, but all of a sudden, because he's annoying, he steals things. He's a thief. He doesn't really steal them. They fall into his pack on accident. Take that for what it's worth. But the dude saves the day more often than anybody else in the group. Not like, who he saved that person's life. He saved everybody. And he did it just like out of the blue, just because he is who he is. So I think these books are not just about, dragons and dragonlances and draconians and good versus evil. They're about friendship and companionship and how you grow as a family and grow as a series of friends to kind of fulfill your destiny. There is a omnibus version of it out that I have, that is has a foreword written by Joe Manganiello, and I don't know what the fan base has to do to get Joe Manganiello a freaking streaming series about these books, but that needs to happen. I don't know who we need to call, petition, whatever, to get Joe Manganiello a series out of these freaking books, but it needs to happen because he knows that source material better than anybody, except the authors who are still alive, I guess. Um, but the book, it's not like George R. R. Martin where there's not just lots of sex and whatever. There actually is, it is a solid story. It is a very character driven story. And one of the things I like about the way these authors work versus a lot of authors is, they don't beat you over the head with backstory. They only give you sort of backstory as it pertains to this moving the story forward. And yes, that does become important, but it doesn't come out as, here, let me go through 20 pages of backstory for you. They go through it as it makes sense to go through it. Um, some of the best written fantasy books I've seen. The second trilogy actually is much better written, but as I understand it, these books were written so quickly because of a deadline at TSR. It They're still very good. I absolutely enjoy them, and I've reread them a number of times. The other thing I enjoyed about it as a teenager is there were a series of adventure modules that came along, that didn't come along with them. You had to buy them separately, but I have them, and it allowed you to play inside the world of the book. You could play the game Dungeons and Dragons inside the world of the book, and it even came with pre-cut out or pre-drawn pre-rolled characters so that you could kind of play the characters you saw in the book. It was fantastic to me at the time, and it is to this day. And yes, I know somebody's going to say those modules are kind of railroady. I don't care. Those modules let me play these three books that I really love. And, yes, are they railroady? Sure. Do they kind of make you sort of want to play like the characters? Sure. But there's still a lot of fun in there. And you don't have to play them. I enjoyed them. I'd love to play them again someday, but we'll have to find a group of people who want to play them. So these three books, if you have not read them, in the world of Kryn, people ask me all the time online when I talk about these books. Ooh, I've always wanted to read them. Where do I start? Right there. Dragons of Autumn Twilight. That's the one you start with. That's the older version. The newer version has different cover art on it. Don't let that throw you. This is the omnibus version. It's probably on Amazon now. I pre-ordered mine, so I've got the autographed one. But it the omnibus version is the same book, just with a forward by Joe Manganiello, which is a great forward. Joe, I know you're a huge fan of the books. I'm a huge fan of yours. I want to get you, I want you to have the option to do this series. I don't care if you're in it or just involved with it or whatever. We need to get you this series. Um, I don't know what the fans need to do to make that happen, but somebody needs to make that happen. So we'll talk to everybody soon. I'm rereading Legends right now, and I'll get into that one when I get that far. I'm almost I'm not kind of two-thirds of the way done with the first one. But they're great books. So if you have not read them, cannot recommend them more highly. Fantastic stuff. And yes, I did try to get the most colors possible into one background and shirt combination you've ever seen on the internet. So everybody have a great day. We'll talk soon.